Welcome back to the Metrodome. A bit of bad news for the Detroit Lions. Offensive coordinator Sylvester Croom suffered chest pains yesterday and was taken to the hospital. Now it's thought that his problems are not cardiac related, but may be related to the stress he's been dealing with since his father suffered a massive heart attack on Christmas Day. Now, although Coach Croom is in the stadium, the play calling will be done by longtime NFL quarterback Jim Zorn. I spoke to Coach Zorn earlier. He said the last time he called plays was at Utah State back in 1994, but he's very comfortable, very relaxed, and says the play calling will not change at all. Pat?
All right, DJ, and Jim Zorn takes on a little extra added responsibility. He's a good coach, though, John.
Yeah, he's very good. I mean, he was a heck of a quarterback. I remember we played against Jim Zorn for years when he was with the Seattle Seahawks, and I think he's one of those young coaches that is on his way up. He's going to be an offensive coordinator someday, and I'll bet you he'll be a head coach in this league someday.
Jason Hansen roots it deep into the end zone to Robert Tate, who's going to bring it out. And Tate swings outside. Tate out of bounds at about the 35-36-yard line, very close to the illegal block. Let's start with that very explosive offense. Todd Stussy, Randall McDaniel, Jeff Christie, Dave Dixon, Corey Stringer. Veterans up front who've been together for a while. Randy Moss, Robert Smith, Klein, Saucer, Glover, and Carter. Two Pro Bowlers on the outside. Minnesota can hit you in a lot of different ways. Jeff George is second in the NFL. And he's their quarterback. Moss was the man on the move. George faked the reverse to Moss. Kevin Pritchett, starting in place of Luther Ellis, is the guy who made the tackle. Tracy Scroggins and Robert Porcher are the defensive ends. Pritchett, who just made the play, and James Jones, the tackles. Claiborne, Boyd, and Aldridge, the linebackers. And the secondary, they've had problems, physical problems all year. Bailey, Carrier, Rice, and Westbrook is back.
They've also had getting beat deep problems and pass interference problems.
George drops quickly. By Chris Carter. I don't know how it got in there, but it got in there.
I think the way it got in there is the word that you use, quickly. I mean, Jeff George gets back and gets rid of the ball quicker than any quarterback in football right now.
He can zip it.
And then he has Chris Carter out here, and all it takes is just a slight crease. Just watch this. Jeff George just gets in there. I mean, he can darn near put that ball any place he wants to, and when he does, Chris Carter can go get it.
Here is Robert Smith, straight ahead on a fumble. And Detroit saying they've got it. Robert Smith had gone some astronomical numbers without fumbling, and he lost this one. Detroit still signaling we got it. And now the referee, Tony Correnti, says they're right, they do. Tracy Scroggins up for the recovery.
Here, Robert Smith, he's looking up there to see how it happens. You see, he only has one hand on the ball. You see, and it gets knocked out right there at the end.
Ron Rice punched it loose. Detroit takes over. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Happy New Year again. First quarter just started.
I wonder if we're getting some kind of challenge here. You see the official talking to Dennis Green. Ron Rice knocked that ball out of Robert Smith's hands before he went down. So there was, I don't know what he would be asking for unless he was saying that his knee was down before the ball came out.
That must be what it is. But Rice punched it out. Smith had handled the ball over 350 times without a fumble.
The last thing Dennis Green told us yesterday, when what they have to do to win, is he said not have turnovers. Like the Minnesota Vikings, he said the biggest difference between this year and last year is that they had so many turnovers this year. In fact, well, here you're going to see Ron Rice right here. He's going to come in and he's going to punch the ball there. Now, is he down? Is his knee down? There, the ball is punched. And what they're saying is the knee was down before the ball was punched. So you can see the ball get punched out of here, but you can't see the knee. So that's what they're going to have to look at. I mean, you know that the ball was punched. You know that it was a fumble. You know that the Lions recovered. So the only thing they can say is, was he down by contact, and did the knee hit before the ball was punched out?
Well, the elapsed time. There's the punch by number 28.
And then there's the knee down. So,
but you can't see where the ball is now.
That's the thing that you have to be able to see all the time, is you have to be able to see the ball and the knee.
There's another angle. That looks like it was out. Clearly looks like it was out before his knee was down. And
usually that's the way they called it on the field, and that's usually the one that they're going to stay with. There's that same angle again. Ron Rice come punch it right there. And then the knee is down there. That's very close.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like a...
It is.
But there's such a thing as a simultaneous punch, but I bet they stay with it.
It's not
the play. Defensive player had punched the ball, and it was loose prior to the ball, to the knee hitting the ground. The play stands as will fumble. Snap. Minnesota will be charged with a timeout.
So that cost Denny Green and the Vikings a timeout.
That was very close, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that was close to a simultaneous punch. And
closer than I thought.
This is what you were talking about here, Pat, with Robert Smith. And that's his first fumble since 1998.
It seems like he would have handled the ball more times than 358 since 1998.
Well, you know, he's had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like every time Robert Smith would get going, and sometimes he's one of the top running backs in all of football, and then he starts looking good, and then he gets hurt.
Now the Lions have a new offensive. They have a new center. Obviously, he's on offense. It's Eric Beverly. Batch drops, screen pass to Rivers. It's behind the line for a loss. Ed McDaniel was the first man there. Here's the Detroit makeshift offensive line. Compton, Semple, Beverly, the new center. Hardings and Barrett Brooks. Compton, the left tackle. Morton, Rivers, Schlesinger, Sloan, and Moore. Herman Moore starting in place. Now they go with a 3 wide receiver set. 2nd and 13. And Batch outside quickly to Morton. And he is cut down, the sure tackle by Hitchcock. Let's look at the Minnesota defense now. They are playing better. Dolman, Randall, Ball, and Clemens. The front four, the linebackers, Dwayne Rudd, McDaniel in the middle, and Kylie Wong. And the secondary, Hitchcock, Bass, Griffith, the 2 safeties, and Kenny Wright, the rookie, the other cornerback. Cedric Irvin comes in the game as the running back for Detroit.
Because of the 3 wide receivers, the Minnesota Vikings are using nickel defense.
Batch. Pass is caught by Morton.
I was talking about nickel defense, and that's who they go to work on over there. You see that Robert Tate is number 28, and he's this guy right here. As of a couple weeks ago, he was a wide receiver. They needed defensive backs. They switched him over to defensive back. So now what the Lions are looking for is they're trying to get who is Tate covering. Now they know there's only been a defensive back for a couple of years. I mean a couple of weeks. The guy's a scrappy guy. He has a lot of things going, but experience is not one of them.
First down, Detroit at the Minnesota 38. Batch again back to throw it, and throws deep. Overthrows Jermaine Crowell. Jerry Ball was into the game and into the warm-ups, and here's what he had to say during the warm-ups before the game.
Hey, we got to start fast now. We got to get hot. Get hot in the warm-ups now. I do my part. Now, if you're not in that backfield hitting him in his mouth, I'm going to look at you. You got to put the ceiling up there so that the rest of the guys can play at a high level. You're the benchmark. Set it.
Thanks to Randy Moss. He is the benchmark, but so is Jerry Ball.
Jerry Ball almost lines up offside. Every time he gets as much of that ball as he can.
Batch has got to hurry. Just got it off. The rush was coming. Batch throws it away. Dolman put the heat on.
That's the thing, you know, we talked about that makeshift offensive line, and there's Mike Compton, who was the center playing the left tackle, and the reason that Bobby Ross moved Compton over there to left tackle is because he lost his regular left tackle, Ray Roberts, and then he put Ramirez there last week, and that didn't work. So his next move was take his center and put him out there.
And Compton just didn't even look at Dolman that time. He just ignored him.
I think that's that pass protection where they all block down, and which never made any sense to me.
Here's Batch. Gets it out of the pocket to Crowell. Crowell will have a first down if Batch wasn't over the line of scrimmage.
I don't think so. That's the thing that anytime you talk to the Minnesota Viking defense about the Lions and Charlie Batch, this is what they worry about. Watch Charlie Batch here. The way he can step up, move around, has the quickness, and then stop and throw the ball. Although he was pretty close.
He was pretty close, yeah.
Here's Foge Fazio. He's the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings.
He looks like a major league manager.
Well, he has all his defenses on the wristband, and he calls him into his middle linebacker, Ed McDaniel, to his strong safety, Robert Griffin.
Batch. Fumble. Vikings have it. Batch was hit. Didn't see anybody coming. Recovered by Dwayne Clemens. Now let's see who hit him.
You see, the Dolman gets the rush from the outside.
John Randall.
And then the other outside gets a rush, and then when he has to step up, he steps right up into John Randall.
First down, Minnesota, when we come back.
Watch John Randall right here. He gets a push there on Tony Seppo. Charlie Batch doesn't take a very deep drop. He's only back there about 4 yards, and John Randall just hits his elbow and knocks the ball right out.
George fakes to Smith and goes deep to Moss. Moss got it. Tripped up at about the 12, 13-yard line past Brian Westbrook.
That's the old pass. Just chunk it out there, dog. That's what Randy Moss says. I think Randy Moss is the greatest deep threat in football today. And you see, Brian Westbrook knows it. Westbrook knows that he's going to go deep, and he just turns and he starts to run, and there's not a thing that he can do about it. And when he gets in this position now, Randy Moss has won that battle.
Outstanding throw by Jeff George, too. 53-yard pass completion.
It was a good play pass, a good play-action pass that started that whole play.
That's Smith. Inside the 5 to about the 4.
Watch the play fake, Pat. This is how it started. This gives you pretty good protection and gives Jeff George time to look downfield and then time to hit Randy Moss with that deep one.
He doesn't need much time to let it go.
And Randy Moss doesn't need many steps to catch a big play either.
Second and 2. Blitz coming. Smith leans. Touchdown from the far side. The official comes trotting in with his hands over his head. Those close to it didn't make any indication.
You know, I think the thing we were talking about earlier about Denny Green saying we're about ready to explode, I think this is what he's talking about. I think he's talking about the offensive line playing better. I think he's talking about Robert Smith running like this. I think he's talking about Randy Moss making big plays and Jeff George making throws like that. That wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't. Anderson, extra point is good. Robert Smith. Watch his eyes. for the Detroit Lions at their own 23-yard line.
You know, and a Buccaneer loss and a Viking win would mean that the Vikings win the Central Division.
Rivers again gets the carry. Doesn't do much.
That's one thing that Coach Fazio was talking about is that the Lions use so much three wide receivers. He's hoping that he can play nickel against the three wide receivers, but then with your nickel defense, you have to take one linebacker out. Then he's hoping that they'll be able to hold up against the run. And so far they're doing that. Jim Zorn calling plays today has only called one run.
3rd and 6, Cedric Irvin behind Charlie Batch. That should be just enough for a first down to Crowell.
You know, the reason that Mike Compton was moved to left tackle is because this guy right here, Chris Dolman. That's what Bobby Ross said. He said, I had to make the move. And he said the reason I did that is because of Chris Dolman. I was thinking, isn't that something? I mean, just a couple of months ago, Chris Dolman was retired.
Yeah.
He was through playing football, and now he's a dominant player that you have to move your offensive lineman around for.
Rivers again gets a few.
And he still has that quickness, Chris Dolman. You know, I mean, he never got old man slow. I mean, he still has those quicks. And as you see right there, if you don't block him, if the tackle blocks down, he's quick enough to get down there and stop that run. Watch here. When his tackle comes this way, he can come right down the line. See, when he lets him go, he can come right down the line and still make that play in the middle of the field.
On 2nd down, Batch chased by Clemens. Pass is out of bounds, incomplete. Crowell was the receiver.
The type of thing that Charlie Batch can do so well is just run with the ball and then throw on the run. I mean, he really zipped that thing in there. That's about as close as you can get. I mean, you would Crowell, if he would have just given him about a half a step outside of that sideline, he would have been able to complete that pass. Crowell and his pattern got a little too close to the sideline.
Well, Bobby Ross said we want to run it. They've thrown 9 and run 3. New formation. Batch back to throw, and he just barely got rid of it, but he did to Crowell. And that'll be another Detroit first down.
That's one thing I like about Charlie Batch is he can get back there and get rid of it quickly. And we know that he's playing with a broken thumb and a thumb that he even says isn't going to get better until the season's over. He came out in the pregame warm-up, and I was watching him. He didn't have any tape on his thumb. And then something started to bother him because he went over and got his right thumb taped. The toughest thing about this thumb is that it's his right hand, and that's the hand that the snap is slapped up into.
Rivers. 2nd down from behind by Dwayne Rudd. These Minnesota linebackers, all 3 of them, are very active and very fast.
And the first guy in there was a defensive tackle, Tony Williams.
Yeah.
That's what these front guys have to do, is they have to eat up things. Now watch Tony Williams. When he gets the penetration here, he's the guy that fouls up this run. You see, he gets in here, and he gets in the backfield right there. You see, that is the guy. It's Tony Williams that really made the play.
Yeah.
Rudd gets the tackle, but Williams got the penetration against the backup center, Eric Beverly.
2nd and 12. Batch screen pass to Rivers. Vikings played it well.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about here. That is, you see, his right hand is right here. That's the top hand, and that takes the trauma of the snap of the ball every play. And see, when it comes up, it's going to hit that right hand, and it also hits right around the thumb area. That one came out there a little sloppy. This is what I was talking about. Before the game, he was throwing, and then they went over and did a little quick tape job on him.
3rd and 10. Morton on the move, and Batch back to throw it. This time he has time. Crowell lets the catch. inside the Viking 30. That's a strike from Batch to Crowell.
Yeah, you can just feel that Charlie Batch is getting in a rhythm now.
Yeah,
he's gotten back there, hasn't had great pass protection, but he's getting rid of the ball quickly. And the big play guy for these Detroit Lions is Benjamin Crowell. And you see him right there. He runs a corner pattern. Charlie Batch stays with him all the way. It was darn near double coverage. He throws it right over Kenny Wright, right into Crowell's hands.
Crowell's had a bad wrist that's been bothering him, but looks okay today.
Bobby Ross thought he had a little fatigue, too.
Batch. Stabline makes the catch. Another Detroit first down at the Viking 17.5-yard line.
You know, one thing to me, it all starts right up here with the pass protection, and they have the 4 rushmen there, and you can see that now they're giving Charlie Batch a good pocket. See, he was able to get back there and look and have a free and clean step up.
First down now. Schlesinger in front of Rivers in the Detroit backfield. And Rivers gets the carry. So many years behind Barry Sanders. The ball's loose and the Vikings get it back. Was he down?
The Detroit players are saying that. The Viking players are saying no. The official is saying yes, that he was down. Still Detroit's ball. I'm just going to come here. You know, Bobby Ross was saying Ron Rivers isn't very big and he's not very strong, but he just does move the chains. There again, you know, did the ball come out after he was down? Did the ball come out after his knee was out? Now, if they snap this ball up, they haven't snapped the ball. It's going to be challenged.
Going to challenge this one.
I was just going to say, if they get this ball snapped, then they can't challenge it. Just before the snap, Denny Green and the Minnesota Vikings challenge.
And here comes Tony Corrente.
That'll be Dennis Green's second challenge.
And if he loses, his second time out. Which will leave him only one this half. It's 7-0.
To challenge a play down by contact. By rule, this play is not reviewable.
Not reviewable.
But you say that he was already down by contact.
Yeah.
If the official blows a whistle and points to the ground, then it doesn't make any difference. Then you can't replay that. I mean, then you can't challenge that replay. So they're saying that he was down by contact and the official blew and pointed to the ground before that ball came out. And I think but that's the way they get away with that, and they get around that.
Yeah. Here's Batch back to throw it. David Sloan.
Charlie Batch has got a little streak over there, doesn't he? I mean, he has some things going, and it starts with, you know, he gets a little running game going, but he's getting some pass protection. And the other thing, a lot of it is Charlie Batch. We saw him early, you know, where he was able to run and to move and then hit some things. Then I think that slowed down the pass rush because they started worrying about keeping him contained, and now he has time and he's just zipping everything in there.
First and goal at the 6. Rivers behind the line by McDaniel.
Now that is a play by a linebacker, Ed McDaniel. I mean, between Dwayne Rudd and Ed McDaniel, they really hit things. And you're going to see McDaniel come across here, hit the hole right there, see the hole right there, hit it, and catch Ron Rivers before he can get back to the line of scrimmage.
Not big for a middle linebacker or a strong linebacker, but boy, can he play.
Yeah, and if you're a middle linebacker and you're not big, you better be quick, and Ed McDaniel is.
Pass caught by Crowell. Flag on the play. I think the Vikings might have jumped offside. Minnesota leading 7-0. The winner of this game plays a playoff game at home next week.
You know, one of the things Bobby Ross said yesterday is that you know, maybe
offside. Defense, number 92, in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Dwayne Clements.
Yeah, it's right here. And what he's saying is he's in the neutral zone right now. But Bobby Ross was saying that we're going to try and run, but I'm not going to be hard-headed. If the run isn't there and we have to get into a shootout, I know Minnesota can score a lot of points. I know that they can get hot. We'll just get into a shootout right away, and I think that's what they're doing.
Here's Batch. Herman Moore. Johnny Morton. Pass was tipped by Moore first.
That's a way to do it. I mean, the normal team wouldn't try it that way, to throw a pass in there and throw it to Herman Moore and just have a tip off Herman Moore. You watch him there. There it's off Moore's hand. Then Johnny Morton just runs right through it and gets it for a touchdown. Look at this ball. Herman Moore should have had that. I mean that should have been a touchdown even before Johnny Morton got it. One of the problems the Lions have been having is their receivers have dropped a lot of passes this year.
And if you can't catch it, redirect it to your teammate.
That's not a bad way to do it. Like I said, the normal team wouldn't try it that way.
7-7 as Hanson's extra point is good. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, 7-7. Vikings have the ball at the Detroit 41-yard line. 2nd and 8. The handoff is to Smith, and he is taken down behind the line of scrimmage by Stephen Boyd. Let's go down to the sidelines and DJ Johnson.
Desmond Howard was diagnosed as having muscle spasm in his neck. His return is probable. Now, he is somebody that the Lions will need back because they rely heavily on their special teams and their passing game. Speaking to guys on both teams before the game, they said that the Lions running game is so vanilla, it's easy to stop. No counters, no traps, no pulling, just straight ahead. Well, we'll see how it goes in the second quarter. Pat?
3rd and 10. Blitz coming. George gets rid of it. It's caught by Moss. Moss out of bounds at the 26. Brian Westbrook.
Well, Jeff George fun to watch, the way he gets rid of that ball so quickly, and then when you get rid of the ball quickly, then things like this can happen. Watch Randy Moss. They're always worried about him going deep, that he can stop in front of any corner. He gets Brian Westbrook going deep like you think he's going to go deep, and then he just stops. So watch how quickly this ball comes out of there. I mean, that thing that goes from the brain to the arm is very, very, very quick in Jeff George.
That thing?
Well, there has to be something here from the time you see a guy open and you decide that you're going to throw it until you throw it.
Moss. George. Incomplete. Bailey knocked it down, intended for Moss again. That's Alan Aldridge, the injured Lion.
You know, that's only the 4th pass that Jeff George has thrown. Until this series, he'd only thrown 2. Charlie Batch has already thrown 14. We'll watch Aldridge. He's right here. He got blocked, and then it looked like he got a little kick on the way down.
Yep. And still down. Back inside the dome, Scott Kolkowski has replaced Aldridge. George has Smith behind him. Robert Smith high stepping it to his right and stopped by Detroit.
You know, Ron Rivers is coming back today and starting today for the first time, coming off a broken ankle. And this is one of the things that we see more and more. A player, when the other group is on the field, getting on a bicycle and just moving just to stay warm.
3rd and 10, Leroy Horde.
Which way you going?
Okay. Replace George.
That's the umpire asking the linebacker which way you going. The linebacker said, I don't know yet.
Here's George. Steps up in the pocket and throws high, intended for Andrew Glover.
Did you hear that? The umpire said, which way you going? To Stephen Boyd. Well, that's what Stephen Boyd said. I don't know yet. What's the offense going to do? He didn't know if it was a run or a pass. I mean, that's what a linebacker does. And Stephen Boyd is a real good one. I mean,
he is.
He's a good guy. He's a lot of fun, and he's going to the Pro Bowl, and he just enjoys playing. He's a tough guy. And, you know, he has dirty pants. I don't know how he got his pants dirty inside.
44 yards out. Anderson hits. Puts the Vikings back on top. 44 yards for Gary Anderson. 10-7. The Lions led by Charlie Batch. Bothered all year long by a bruise. They thought thumb, and then they found out it was broken, and he tripped. And Batch loses yardage. Right now for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat and John, you both know that Carolina needs to score as many points as possible in this game. Here, Berline drills one to Wesley Walls in a best net points in conference game differential. Right now, Green Bay is only up by 8 points in that. Carolina leads it by 17. Pat and John.
And the score at the Metrodome in Minneapolis is Minnesota 10, Detroit 7, second and 15. Detroit has the ball. 3 wide receivers set up, and 2 deep backs, no tight end. Batch, Crowell. Allen Aldridge, the Detroit linebacker, has a hip pointer, and in all likelihood he will be back. Batch 12 out of 15.
You see who they're throwing on. They're getting them in nickel. And again, Robert Tate, when they play nickel or 5 defensive back, he's the wide receiver who they just made a defensive back out of a couple of weeks ago. He plays out here on this corner. And when he plays off, you can throw in front of him all day.
3rd and 8. Batch caught by Morton. Flag on the play. First down, Detroit, if it stands.
And I think that's exactly what the Lions are looking for. I think they're looking for Robert Tate. Now, before he was in a man, they hit him in front of him. And that play, he was in a zone, but they still threw to his zone area. And that's a heck of a lot. To ask a guy to play defensive back in this league is tough. To be a corner is tough.
Illegal use of the hands, hands to the face. Defense, number 28.
Tate.
Penalty is declined.
First down.
That's what we were just talking about. Here's Robert Tate here. Now, this isn't a man-to-man. This is a zone. What he's going to do is he's going to get his hands on Johnny Morton right there to slow him up. But his hands, as Morton makes that move, his hand goes right to the face, and Morton still finds that hole in the zone.
First down, Detroit at the Minnesota 45. The line of scrimmage.
We know that Sylvester Croom, had a problem last night. He had chest pains. He went to the hospital, and he's normally the offensive coordinator who calls the plays. He's not doing that today. Jim Zorn is a quarterback coach, and he just found out that he's going to call the plays today. And he said this is the first time that he's done that since he coached in college.
Well, he'll do a good job, I guarantee you.
But because he has to think that way all the time, and and they put in the game plan, they're all on the same page.
Here's Batch. Underthrown, incomplete to Morton.
And again, this is the area that they're going for. We just heard that Desmond Howard is now doubtful. Again, Detroit has something going here with this Robert Tate situation. I think that what they want to do is they probably want to leave the Minnesota Vikings in nickel so that Tate stays out here in this corner, and then they can work that area. Right now you see Herman Moore is over here on Robert Tate.
And two wide receivers to the other side. Urban is the back. Morton on the move. And here's Batch. Just does get it out of there. Incomplete. Flag on the play.
You can say that a guy can get open and you work a guy, but the first thing you need is you have to give your quarterback time.
Holding.
Ooh, that's automatic first down.
Against the Vikings.
Against the Vikings. That'll be automatic first down for the Lions. That was third down, incomplete. They were going to have to punt, but they're going to get a first down.
Holding. Defense, number 92. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. Push down.
Wayne Clemens.
It was on Cedric Irvin. You're going to see him. He's just going to grab the back. Here he is right here. And he kind of has what they call a green dog. And as Cedric Irvin, he was on the other side. As Cedric Irvin came out, he just grabbed him.
So it's first down Detroit after the penalty call at the Viking 40, with Minnesota leading by 3. The winner of this game is the host next week as the playoffs begin. Here's Rivers. Good yardage. Dwayne Rudd made the stop, but Rivers got about 8.
And I think that, you know, we talked about this earlier. I think that Bobby Ross, as much as he wants to run, knows that his team is a passing team. I mean, the strength of his team is his wide receivers, and it's not the running backs. But even having said that, you still need enough running to make that other team hang in there and not just rush the passer every down.
Rudd gets a rest. Holmberg has taken his place. Batch fake to Rivers. Fires intended for Sloan, who slipped down.
And I think what happened, it looks like the reason Rudd is out of there, it looks like he did something to that left leg. You know, David Sloan on that pass pattern, he fell down. So Charlie Batch was, you know, alert enough to see when he went down that he just threw the ball. He was going to throw it to Sloan. Sloan falls down, so Charlie Batch just throws the ball away.
3rd and 4. Now it's Morton in motion, and Batch throws it up to Herman Moore, who leans past the markers and moves to 6. Detroit first down.
You know, Herman Moore always has great body control, and you just watch him here. I mean, here goes. You see how he just steps back there and throws, and it looked like he was falling down as he threw that ball. Watch Charlie Batch here, Pat. I mean, he turns and then he just looks like he was falling down.
Yeah.
And he wasn't hit. He saw the rush and started to go down, but as he went down, he made a heck of a throw out there to Herman Moore. That was the first pass that Herman Moore's caught today.
Batch drops the throw, and he is hustled down by Randall and Dwayne Clemens.
That's a jailbreak when they get that many guys there. Dolman was there, Randall was there, Clemens was there. We said earlier how they had pass protection, the Detroit Lions did, but on that play, that was an avalanche coming in on him. Watch him. He's going to get it here, he's going to get it here, and he's going to get it right up the middle. There's one from the right side, one from the left side, and one right up the middle. That's called, you know, putting the old triangle on him. When you get the triangle on you, just go down, because there's nothing you can do.
2nd and 17. Batch on the draw play to Schlesinger, who gets a couple.
And one of the things that Bobby Ross told us last night that really surprised me is that Schlesinger is the fastest back in the team.
Yeah.
Look at this. Charlie Batch has been sacked twice, hurried 6 times, knocked down 6 times, but other than that, he's hit pretty well.
When he said that about Schlesinger, I said, Schlesinger is? He said yes.
I think that's kind of a good news bad news thing. Good news for Schlesinger, but where's the other speed? Charlie Batch is 7 out of 7 on 3rd downs today.
Another chance. 8 out of 8 to Johnny Morton. And Batch was down again, but got rid of it.
Well, he got rid of it. They didn't get a first down, but he did get his team in better field goal position. Johnny Randall is a lot better player as a defensive tackle than he is as a defensive end. Look at Johnny Morton, how he looks that ball in even though it's behind him. You know, you don't only look them in when they're right in front of you or outside, but you have to look them in the same way when they're behind you.
And turn your body that way like he did. From 39 yards away. Hansen. He makes it look easy. And it's 10-10. Minnesota, Detroit. And now we're at the Metrodome in Minnesota. The Vikings will be in the playoffs, and so will the Lions.
If the Vikings win today and Tampa Bay loses, the Vikings win the division and they get a first-round bye.
Mo Williams doesn't make it back to the 15. The Detroit special teams down in a hurry and effectively.
And if Detroit wins, then they get to host the game, and they would play the Vikings in Detroit next week. So we have some things at stake here.
We do.
You can just feel, you know, I've always said from Thanksgiving on, you can just feel the intensity of the football go up and the football get better. And then next week when we start the playoffs, it goes up another step.
Well, this one has the atmosphere of a playoff game.
Yeah, we've had a few of these towards the end of the season.
First and 10, Jeff George up under center, and Robert Smith is deep. George to throw. Winds and throws and hits Chris Carter.
I don't know that there's any way to defend Chris Carter. I mean, he is so big and so strong. It was just a couple of weeks ago he has a high ankle sprain. They didn't even know that he could play. But you can just throw the ball to Chris Carter, and because of his body and his strength, he can just get himself in a position as a quarterback could throw the ball to him, and the defensive back can't do anything about it.
First and 10. Smith. For a couple. In fact, Jeff George was saying yesterday that Chris Carter, every pattern he runs is some sort of an adjustment route.
Yeah, and Jeff George loves that because, as Chris Carter was saying, that I think like a receiver, and Jeff George thinks like a receiver.
Yep.
And a receiver, on any pattern he runs, he thinks he's open. And Jeff George also thinks that any pattern Chris Carter runs, he is open.
Bailey just can't stay with him.
Well, Bailey's complaining that Moss pushed off, and that's exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for man-to-man and no one in the post, and he got it. Now Bailey's saying that Randy Moss is going to push off right here. I don't see any push off there. He just ran right by him.
Well, he didn't even touch him.
No, but the thing that Bailey had is he had outside position and no help in the post. And when you don't have any help in the post, and you have Randy Moss out there and Jeff George throwing up, that is going to be a touchdown.
Anderson hits the extra point. He stiff-armed him after the catch. That's a push-off, but
he just has such great speed. Randy Moss is just a super football player.
Happy New Year. It was kind of uneventful. I was expecting trouble or big things. It's 2nd and 5, weren't you, John?
Now, when you watch the things going around the world, you had to be proud of the whole world.
Did you, though? George, high. Intended for Chris Carter.
Jeff George was saying it took him 9 or 10 years to get this football, and he's kind of had some problems wherever he's been, and then he said he finally got it now, and he thinks the secret to it is just not being tight, not getting up tight. And what he tries to do and tries to get everyone else to do is to smile in the huddle.
Well, for a long time he didn't smile in Atlanta with the Raiders. Now he's smiling.
Winning's a great deodorant.
Is it though? George to Carter. Enough for first.
Well, you can just see that he doesn't leave the ball in the air very long. And you get in there in that zone, and he just finds a hole in the zone and just zips it in there.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris We'll have scores and highlights from around the league. Our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. And that's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. You know what I'd like? I'd like maybe Terry and Howie to explain the whole playoff picture and let us know who's going to play where and what time it's going to start and all that at the half.
Well, they won't be able to do it at the half. No. They'll be able to do it at the end of the day.
George, one-handed catch, throws to Jake Reed. Vikings go no huddle.
Watch how quickly Jeff George gets rid of that ball after he looks around.
George just barely does get away from center and he throws it out, stops the clock as a flag on the play.
And they're going to say they illegally grounding the ball. That's what they're going to call on him because there was no receiver out there, and he was doing that to avoid the rush. The thing is, a quarterback can throw the ball away as long as he's not avoiding a rush.
Grounding. Number 3, offense, Walton down, second down.
See, if he's in the pocket, these are the ingredients. If he's in the pocket and he's avoiding a rush, then he can't throw the ball away. Now, if he just wanted to throw the ball away, I don't know why they didn't call offsides before that. I mean, it was in the neutral zone.
That's Dan Owens.
Yep. Jeff George is complaining that he could throw the ball away, but again, if it's to avoid a rush and you're inside the pocket, which is inside the area where the tight ends would be, you have to throw it to a receiver.
2nd and 20.
But I still don't know why it wasn't offside on the encroachment or one of those things. They missed that.
Here's George. Pass caught by Moss. That's back to the original first down marker. Just under a minute left.
The Vikings have to think of getting a first down here. I mean, they have to get a first down and get the ball inside the 30. The first thing you try and think of, your first goal is to get into field goal range, then get and have a first down, and then go for your touchdown.
This is a Minnesota timeout as Anderson loosens up. He hit from 44 yards earlier.
Well, if they don't get a first down here, it would be 57 yards.
Right. Coming up again on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up at the half on the Visa halftime report.
Well, what a great year he had last year, huh?
Berger, stronger leg. If they don't get a first, it'll probably be Berger from this far out.
I wouldn't think if they don't get a first with this much time and the Lions having all their timeouts and the ball going back to the spot of the kick, I don't think they would try a field goal if they don't get some yardage here.
George, pump fake, comes out of the pocket. Flag on the play. And they got one of the things they were looking for.
And it's going to be an automatic first down. If it's holding, it's automatic first down. If it's interference, it's going to be right at the spot of the interference. Again, Detroit leads the league in interference. Ryan Westbrook, number 32, leads the league in pass interference.
That's Andrew Glover.
Coming into this game, he had 7 of them. Ryan Westbrook did.
You got another one now.
Illegal contact, defense, number 32. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Illegal contact means that you can't hit the guy after 5 yards, but the ball's not in the air yet. So you say the illegal contact is right there.
Jake Reed.
Now, if the ball were in the air, that would be pass interference. But what the official is saying is that he had that illegal contact, which it was, and the ball wasn't in the air yet.
So it's 1st and 10. George drops and throws and incomplete and almost picked off by Rice.
Oh, and Rice got a good jump on that and a good read on that.
And Jeff George didn't cut that one loose with the same velocity. He just tried to lay it out there.
Yeah, because he didn't have his feet set right, and he was kind of thrown off his back foot going backward. And he didn't have a lot of velocity on that. And Ron Rice was back there, and he had a good read on it. And then because his read was so good, he got a good jump on it. Because he got a good jump on it, he got his hands on the ball. This would be, if they don't gain anything else, this would be a 52-yard field goal attempt from here.
Still have 47 seconds left. One timeout remaining to the Vikings. George up the middle. Moss reached up and got a hand on it, but couldn't bring it down.
You know, that is confidence again. You know, we talk about throwing into double coverage. There were 4 Lion defenders there around Randy Moss, and Jeff George still threw it to him.
And Moss got a hand on it, got a finger on it.
Yep, here he is right here. And you just watch at the end of the play, you're going to see there's 2 right there and 2 more coming. But he doesn't worry about the crowd. If it's Randy Moss, he's going to throw it to him. And Randy Moss will come up with his share of them.
Third down. 3rd and 10. You look at Chris Carter here. Jake Reed, the intended receiver. Here comes Berger, it looks like. No flags.
Again, this is going to be a 52-yard field goal.
And it is Berger.
I think Berger's a holder. It's going to be Gary Anderson.
Right. Well, Berger's the regular holder.
As I said, the ball's on the 35-yard line, so you add 17 yards because the holder is 7 yards back from the line of scrimmage. And, of course, the goalpost is 10 yards in the end zone.
Berger holding. Anderson kicking. Hits the crossbar.
So now the Lions get the ball not at the original line of scrimmage, but they get the ball from the point of the kick. And again, they have all of their timeouts, so all they have to do is get a couple of first downs.
Gus Farad has replaced Charlie Batch, who went to the dressing room after he hit the helmet of a player in front of him with a bad thumb.
Right, and the Lions have their adjustment. We know that their offensive coordinator, Sylvester Croom, is not calling the plays today. Jim Zorn is, and then Jim Zorn loses his quarterback, and now he's doing it with his backup quarterback.
Right. Intended for Crowell, incomplete. 30 seconds still left. So Detroit still has enough time with their timeout situation.
Because they do have all their timeouts left. But they have to get the ball down the field. I mean, they still need about 30 or 40 yards before they can start thinking field goal.
Crowell crosses midfield to about the 48 of Minnesota, but the clock is running. Better hurry now.
Yeah, he can't take all this time. He should use a timeout because they're gonna leave some timeouts on the board. This is stupid.
Yep. Rod drops it outside to Rivers, and Rivers will get the first down. Stop the clock by getting out of bounds. Now Hansen can get it there.
Yeah, but that didn't make any sense what Gus Farad did there, whether the sideline or whoever did it. When you have all your timeouts left and we're getting down to 20 seconds, there's no reason not to take a time. What are you saving them for? Because when you go in the locker room, they take them all off the board anyway, and they give you 3 more for the second half.
4 seconds left. Bobby Ross with his hands on his head.
He knows that was not good clock. That was bad clock management. What am I talking about? Not good. Terrible.
Flag on the play. I think it's going to be against the defensive penalty, and half of the game can't end on a defensive penalty. Clemens might have jumped early.
I think it was Clemens, and you're right. Time will run out, but the half can't end on a defensive penalty. It was Dwayne Clemens, number 92.
offside, defense. In the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
That might just move it close enough for Hansen.
Yeah, I mean Clemens was way in the neutral zone, and now with no time left, you might as well just take a shot at something here.
Why not?
I mean, why not? Because you could get it blocked and they could return it for a touchdown. That's the thing you worry about, because you know, I mean, as you know, as an ex-kicker, I don't say old kicker, but as an ex-kicker, to get it that far, you have to keep a low trajectory.
58 yards out.
Vikings ought to put someone back to return it. You got to return these.
Yep. He's going to get it there, I think. No, he's not. Under the goalpost, and here comes somebody out.
Vikings did have someone back there.
He was hiding back there.
Behind the goalpost.
I didn't even see him.
That's the play you do. You do put a return guy back there in a long field goal attempt.
And you don't ignore him if you kicked it. 17-10. Minnesota over Detroit. Halftime at the Metrodome. The teams headed back to the playing field. Minnesota 17, Detroit 10. You know, John, it's very rare, I'm sorry to say, that often when we say things at the top of the broadcast, the beginning of the broadcast, they come true, but they have here today.
Yeah, and the big thing is, if you look at the first half, that neither team was able to run, and I think that, you know, that's what they have to be talking about at halftime, and maybe the team that does get some running game going is going to be the team that wins this game. It's going to be interesting with Detroit. I think they have some real adjustments to make at halftime. They lost Charlie Batch, their starting quarterback, with a thumb injury, and I'm sure that he won't come back. And you can just see here the play. The center is Eric Beverly, number 79. You can see as he threw the ball and went to follow through, his right thumb, which is already fractured, hit right on Beverly's helmet. So they have some adjustments to make at halftime with Jim Zorn, who's calling plays today, and Gus Frerotte, who is going to be the second half quarterback. The
realization that he had no work during the week. Yeah, and he didn't take any reps.
No, and so you coach him up as quickly as you can in there at halftime. And Gus Frerotte is a pro, and Gus Frerotte is the type of guy that is streaky, and he can get hot, and he can go for 7 out of 7. And I think what you do is you make a different game plan for your second half. You take what you did well in the first half, and you concentrate on those things, or what you can do off those things that you did well, and those are the plays that they're going to give to Gus Frerotte.
Let's have a look at the first half statistics. Rushing yards, as you pointed out, neither team able to run. The Vikings got 22 yards, the Lions 11. It's been a passing contest, as we expected. 2 turnovers by each team. The Vikings got 7 points after a Detroit turnover. The Detroit Lions have had the ball more than Minnesota, but that goes back to Minnesota being such a quick striking, long striking team.
And that's the thing, as we look here, Detroit, their average scoring drive is 13 plays and takes almost 7 minutes. Minnesota does 4 plays and 2 minutes, and it's those two guys right there. I mean, it's Jeff George throwing to Randy Moss.
Jeff George with the big arm. He's always had that big arm. Charlie Batch back on the sideline, but the way he's carrying that hand,
I think
the thumb in a cup, is not a good sign.
No, I think he's probably just going to stay on the sideline and offer any kind of support that he can to his teammates and to Gus Frerotte. In fact, he doesn't even have any tape on it. Remember, we saw earlier in the pregame he came out and didn't have any tape on his thumb, and he threw a few, and then he put some tape on, and he was playing with tape on that right thumb.
That's a strange injury, because it went for a long time when they said they didn't know what was wrong with it. Didn't heal, didn't get any better. It would get a little better, and then he'd throw with it, and it'd swell up. And it was just a strange thing, and finally they x-rayed it again and found out it was broken.
And I think Charlie Batch knew all along that there was something more wrong with it.
Berger's kickoff sails down to Ty Talton at the 2. And he gets out to the 16. Let's go down to D.J. Johnson.
Pat John in the second half, Denny Green says this team needs to do a better job of holding on to the ball. He said they've had way too many turnovers for a game of this magnitude. And in the second half, they must stop the passing game. Now, Bobby Ross, on the other hand, says this team right now must establish more of a running game. So they haven't run well at all. He said they have moved the ball well. They just haven't put it in the end zone. In the second half, expect them to do more roll coverage to Randy Moss. Pass.
All right, 1st and 10 at the 17 for the Lions. Again, a different offensive center, Beverly. That's Rivers. And there's nothing there as Kylie Wong filled the hole.
And I think that's probably why they're not going to be doing a lot of running, because they don't have a great runner, and they're not a great blocking offensive line right now.
And they've redone that offensive line. Compton's the tackle. Beverly's the center. So playing in strange position. This must be a sign of stress relief for Bobby Ross. His hands behind the head.
Yeah, and in this last month, you've seen a lot of that.
Sloan on the move. Gus Farad is the quarterback. Ball was hit just as he let it go. His arm was hit at least, and it just fluttered to the ground.
You know, when you have someone like big old Jerry Ball in there, and then you have John Randall, who's so active, it's tough to get a lot going in a running game, because Jerry Ball will take up 2 blockers and hold a point, and then John Randall will get the penetration, and then they have the speed guys at ends and the speed linebackers, and it's really tough for any team to run against this Viking defense when they're on their game.
Farad back to throw. Pass caught by Sloan up the middle.
But this is what you can do, and this is, you know, some people say the Vikings, you know, might go to the Super Bowl, might win the Super Bowl, and the thing that will probably keep them out is their defense generally, and specifically their pass defense. They're 30th in the league in pass defense, and like we said earlier, you know, they can light you up, but you can light them up too.
And if they don't get the pressure from the front 4, can't afford to be blitzing with that secondary. Here's Rivers. Lost the yard. Wong again around his ankles.
Yeah, now the Vikings are playing with 3 linebackers, and it was Kylie Wong that they took out earlier, and you can see that now they're playing in the second half with the extra linebacker. Kylie Wong, number 52, being the 3rd linebacker that they played most of the first half without when they were playing nickel or 5 defensive backs.
2nd and 9. Quick count for Farad. Here comes the rush.
Robert Griffin. That's the strong safety. I think one of the most underrated players in this league is Robert Griffin.
Seems like he gets a couple of sacks a game.
Yeah, he can do everything. I mean, he can rush the passer, he can cover, he can man cover. You're going to see him coming right here. Now, he wants to time it. So he wants to hit that gap after the tackle makes his commitment. The tackle makes his commitment. There's no one there to block Robert Griffith, and he gets the sack. Now, here's the guy who's only 5'11", 195, but can play and hit you like a linebacker. Here it comes again.
17. Pass is deep, incomplete. No flag. Johnny Morton, the intended receiver.
I was saying that Coach Fazio liked that, bringing the strong safety so well on 2nd down. He did the same thing on 3rd down. He brought Robert Griffith again.
That's one of those things, as Morton was shaking a little bit, one of those things where we just did it. It was successful. They'll never think we're going to do it again.
And he came right back. He went 1 hole in. He came more up the middle on that last play, but Coach Fazio will do that. He said he's going to bring everything he has at this Detroit offense.
Randy Moss back deep. Jets punt is a dandy. Moss at the 19. Randy Moss. And there goes Randy Moss.
That never works.
Nope.
he just ran out of gas and quit.
The tank went empty. And the Vikings take over at their own 20. The winter wonderland of Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul. People do have fun here.
Those guys were having fun playing hockey.
Yeah. Jeff George drops the throw. And the ball came loose, and Jeff George got back and hurled his body on it.
He looked like he didn't even see Robert Porcher, and Porcher just came up and knocked the ball right out of his hands, and Porcher's upset that he didn't get it because it was like Porcher kind of sneaked up on him. Watch, Porcher is right here. Here's Jeff George. Now watch, he comes in there, and he's going. He has Corey Stringer on him, and Corey Stringer was kind of between Porcher and George.
He just took a swipe at the ball on the way by.
And just knocked it right out of there. And then he's on the ground, and he couldn't get to it. That's why he was frustrated.
George. Robert Smith. And Smith gallops across the 25, 26-yard line.
Yeah, this is a thing that you always did. When a guy gets a good pass rush, you always run a draw on him in the next play. It's an old NFL thing. You get him here, now he's feeling good about his pass rush. You get him coming up here, and then just run right inside him. Now watch Porcher. He comes up, and they invite him like it's a pass, and then it's a draw, and they just run right by him. They've been doing that in the NFL for 50 years.
Yeah, they sure have.
Going all the way back to the Cleveland Browns and Paul Brown.
Leroy Horde. The running back. Horde comes out of the backfield, and Jeff George goes down in the grasp of Tracy Scroggins.
We're talking about the speed of the defensive ends, and Tracy Scroggins, again, an underrated player who just showed what speed can do. You know, they get by, and Jeff George starts to take a couple steps, and in 2 steps, Scroggins just closed that gap.
Brian Stabline back deep for Detroit. And Berger back to punt. Not his best. Stabline at the 31. To the 40. Detroit takes over at their own 40. Quarterback by Gus Frerotte. No scoring in the second half. 17-10 first and goal for Minnesota.
Minnesota's getting their running game going. They have 48 yards in the third quarter, only 22 in the entire first half.
Smith lunges for 1 or 2. Claiborne made the stop.
Now you expect to see Leroy Horde in there because they're getting, it's second and long, and they may have to pass on this down, but this is getting to the area when you get down inside that 10-yard line, inside that area. That's where Leroy Horde usually does his biggest damage.
They just changed tight ends. They have 2 in the game. George. And the pass is picked off by Clint Cleroy.
I'll tell you what they tried to do is they tried to make them think run, and they tried to go play pass, and they had 2 wide receivers. And watch Jeff George play pass. He's looking to the outside. He has nothing out there, nothing in the middle, and he just throws that away, and he throws it right to an interception.
Yep. Minnesota 17, Detroit 10. They just turned it over. The 40 turnovers this season, the most in the NFC.
And that's what Denny Green was talking about yesterday, saying we can't do it, and they have more turnovers than anyone in the red zone, where they just had that one.
Schlesinger gets the carry for Detroit.
There's a red zone number, 9 red zone turnovers, most in the NFL. So they lead the league in giving the ball away. They lead the NFC in turnovers, period, and they lead the entire NFL in turnovers inside the red zone.
Inside the 20.
And, you know, when you talk to Denny Green about, you know, say, what's the difference between last year when you were 15-1 and this year? And he said the biggest difference is that turnovers.
That statistic right there. And usually when you look at the teams that go all the way or close to all the way, those turnovers are a significant factor. Right now, let's return to James Brown for an update in Los Angeles.
Pat and John, Carolina refusing to fold. Take a look at Michael Bates on this kickoff return. Reversing field. What does he do? He hits 94 yards to pay dirt. Carolina up 38-7 over New Orleans, but the Packers still ahead in the net points differential in conference games. That's because they're up 34-10 over the Cardinals. Pat and John.
At the Metrodome, it's 3rd and 3 for Detroit. Gus Barat gets the ball out to Johnny Morton, and Johnny Morton gets a Detroit first down. Run out of bounds by Robert Tate.
You know, one of the things that DJ was saying that Bobby Ross said at halftime is we have to get more running game going. In the first half, they had 11 yards running, and they came back, give the speech, get the whole thing going, and they're -2 for the third quarter. But I don't know that they can. I mean, I don't know that they have a running back or they have an offensive line that really can get a true running game going.
Barat back to throw. Bounces off the hands of Corey Schlesinger. I don't think they can get a running game going.
No, but I think that he probably just wants. I mean, he doesn't want -2 either for a quarter. He probably would just like to get 10, 15 yards, just enough so that you can make them honor your play fakes and your bootlegs and those kinds of things. Otherwise, I mean, now there's no reason for the Vikings not to just get in and get down and just rush the passer on every play.
Jim Zorn looking on. He's calling the plays for Detroit. 2nd and 10. It's up to Barat to execute. And Barat's going to be down. Couldn't execute.
Yeah, Chris Dolman got it. That puts him. He needed a half a sack. He needed a half a sack to get into 150, and he just got a sack there. He's the 4th leading sacker of all time. This is unofficial, but you see Reggie White is first, Bruce Smith, Kevin Green, and Chris Dolman.
3 of those guys still active.
Right, and he was saying yesterday that he wanted that half a sack to put him in that 150 club. And he got it.
That's a very exclusive club. Here's Barat. And there's the pressure, but he does get the ball out to Cedric Urban. But the Lions will have to punt.
And that was because of that sack on that play before when Chris Dolman got Gus Barat. If the Minnesota Vikings, come back and they have success in the playoffs, there's going to be a couple moves they made. One, obviously, is Jeff George, but this one here, Chris Dolman, getting him to come out of retirement. He doesn't play like an old guy. He doesn't play like a guy who's retired. He plays every down, and he has a heck of a motor. That was a big pickup for the Vikings.
And bringing Jerry Ball back was a big pickup, too. Here's Randy Moss. Trying to find someplace to go, not much room, and can't go anywhere. Did well to hang on to the football. 17-10 Minnesota's ball. They lead by 7. Someone standing to acknowledge what we were talking about a minute ago, not because of us, but because they announced it to the crowd. Right now, for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat, John, Green Bay fully mindful they need as many points as possible. Boy, they're heading in that direction. Dorsey Levin's 3rd touchdown run of the day, 35-10 Arizona. The Chiefs need a victory in order to try to win the West, but they're losing to the Raiders right now, and the Seahawks losing to the Jets. Wow, one of these 2 teams may not be in there. To take it back to Pat and John.
Minnesota 17, Detroit 10. Both these teams will be in the playoffs. Here's Jeff George. Come on.
Moss tried to do a hurdle job in there. Remember last year they always said the one thing about Randy Moss is he won't run inside.
Yep.
All his patterns were outs and comebacks and ups, and now he does run inside. Here he comes in a slant, finds a hole, and keeps on going inside. Tries to do the leap right over there, Stephen Boyd, and got caught in the middle of it.
But got a first down.
Randy Moss doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. The only weakness he has, I think, is strength.
Robert Smith scrambling around in the middle. Stopped by Stephen Boyd.
There's some big old lineman that, you know, like a Jerry Ball or someone said like that, you know, strength is not one of my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I think that strength is one of Randy Moss's weaknesses. I think that, yeah, I mean, he's not.
He doesn't think
that
so.
you can't. Well, yeah, I mean, he would think. I mean, if you say speed, hands, big playability, athletic, doing all these, I mean, he would put strength at the bottom of that.
2nd and 8. George back to throw it. Andrew Glover takes a strike from Jeff George.
I says, you know, he looks at those wide receivers most of the time, and he doesn't look at the Glovers a lot, but he looks at Andrew Glover on that one.
And zipped it in there.
And you just see him come right down the seam. I mean, he just comes right down, and they hit that seam in a zone, and once he gets a step and he gets his body out there, Jeff George can put that ball right on a guy's number. I mean, he can put it, if he needs it inside, he can put it on the 8. If he needs it outside, he can put it on the 2.
In a hurry. 1st and 10. George gets to Smith. Smith for 9.5.
This is when you get your running. You know, we've talked about this all the time, is in the second half and then in the fourth quarter, because you tend to wear a team down, and if you stay with it, if you stay with your run, it'll usually be there in the second half. And if you have a runner like Robert Smith, and then you're mixing Leroy Horde in there, you're going to get some running going sometime in the game if you stick with it.
They've mixed in Leroy Horde now. 2nd and 1. And Horde will get you some and cave the whole thing in.
Horde is what you call a pile mover. You know, he gets in there, and there's going to be a big old pile there when you get short yardage anyway. And then the pile is going to move one way or the other. It's either going to move forward, and you get the first down, or it's going to move backward, and you don't. Leroy Horde moves piles forward. Watch this. Here's a good pile. You see, you got your pile there. Boom. Now watch it go that way.
Yeah.
Let's watch it from overhead. There's the pile. There it goes forward, right over the yellow line. You always take your pile and push it over the yellow line.
Here's Leroy Horde. Pile driving it down to about the 10.
And you know who loves this the most? You think Leroy Horde, his family, those people, the coaches, the offensive line.
Yep.
The offensive line, they hate it when you pass every down and then they have to pass protect because they have to be passive. They love it when you run and you run right at them, because then they can be aggressive against the defensive linemen who have been aggressive against them all day.
2nd and 1. Horde deep. And Horde again. To about the 4.
It doesn't look like a lot of guys anxious in there to stop Leroy Horde on this Detroit defense now. I mean, he's having his way with him. He got that pile going, and then look, he looks to the right, he figures out where he's going to go. He's looking for a block. He gets one from Dixon, and then he just puts his head down, gets behind his shoulders, and just keeps those legs going.
He's still sitting down. Fatigue or...
Usually when you sit that stance there is usually a stance of cramps.
Could be.
I bet it is cramps.
7 points. Minnesota leads. Back at the Metrodome, Pat Summerall with John Madden. Minnesota leading 17-10, but at the door again.
And Leroy Horde did have cramps.
Right. Robert Smith has taken his place, and he'll line up behind Kleinsaucer, the fullback.
And I would think the Vikings will just keep it on the ground until they get it in the end zone.
First down. Smith to about the 2.5.
I would think they'll put Leroy Horde back in there, which I can see they're doing right now. Sometimes those cramps they come, and then all you have to do is give them a second or two, and then they go away, and you're fine now.
And sometimes they stay, and the pain gets worse.
When they stay and the pain gets worse, then that's usually a pulled muscle. As a coach, every time you see that look, you hope it's a cramp, And then half the time it'll be a pull.
Horde is the deep back.
I would think they'd offer up the dose of Horde right here.
Carter's the man in motion. Leroy Horde, touchdown.
Even likes that. Look at this here, Pat. This is the first trio in NFL history to each have 10-plus TDs in a single season 2 times. Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and Leroy Horde.
The extra point by Anderson is good. And the Vikings take a pretty commanding lead with 4:56 left. Next week, John, we don't know where we'll be yet.
Well, we know we'll be someplace on Sunday. Can't wait. That's the most fun time of the year is NFL playoff.
Ty Talton tripped up at about the 24. Minnesota with a 2-touchdown lead, 4:47 left to play.
Well, Minnesota have to think, if they win, then they're going to host a wild card game next week if Tampa Bay wins. But they're watching that Tampa Bay-Chicago score, too, because Minnesota knows if they win and Tampa Bay loses, then they win the Central Division, and they'll get a bye next week.
Tampa Bay is up 20-6.
Detroit knows that they're going to be, if they lose, they're going to be on the road for a wild card. If they win, they would play Minnesota in Detroit.
There's Farad back to throw it. Hits it to Johnny Morton, gets the first down.
And now, urgency sets in here because the Detroit Lions know that they only have 4 minutes and 34 seconds, but they have to start thinking 2 scores.
Farad drops. 3-man rush by Minnesota. Caught by Rivers. They got a little urgency in their step right now, and they need it.
And they got to get that first score.
Gus Farad, incomplete. No flag. There it comes. Yep.
There was no flag, and then there was a late flag.
Robert Tate, I think, was the violator. He grabbed the receiver as he started the slant pattern.
Pass interference. Defense, number 28. Automatic first down.
Yeah, here's Robert Tate right here. And as you said, he grabbed the receiver right there with Johnny Morton.
Yep.
Yeah, he had pretty good position, and then Johnny Morton got inside of him, and then Robert Tate just grabbed his shoulder pad.
1st and 10, Detroit. Minnesota up by 14. Gus Farad drops to throw. Didn't have time. Dwayne Clemens came around the corner in a hurry.
Hey, Dwayne Clemens has been doing a good job of putting pressure from that left side. Then he has Chris Dolman on the other side, but they're getting pressure from here and they're getting pressure from here, and they're kind of both meeting at the quarterback about the same time. Watch Dolman down here, Clemens down there. He just went right by his guy.
If Clemens didn't get the sack, Dolman would have.
Right, Barrett Brooks didn't even slow up Clemens on that play.
There's Brock. Pass is caught by Coel.
That was a heck of a
Wasn't
catch.
it, though? Hands upside down and everything.
Yeah, and a pretty good throw by Farad, because we know that right now the Detroit Lions are one-dimensional. They know that every play has to be a pass play. They're going with no huddle, backup quarterback in there, backup signal caller.
Farad fires it right in there to Sloan, the tight end. Gets about 6 or 7, and they hustle up to the line of scrimmage again.
And see, they just kind of have that sugar huddle. Everyone just kind of stands close to the line of scrimmage. Gus Farad gets the play from Jim Zorn. Then he has to call it right there on the line.
2nd and 2. Here's Barat. In the grass of John Randall.
And we saw the speed of the outside getting there, and then the speed of the inside, Johnny Randall. You see, here's Randall right here. And you see, he just goes right by. It looked like maybe it was a screen pass or something. Jeff Hardings was on him, and he looked like he just let John Randall go right by him.
It looked like he thought Rivers was going to pick him up.
But the guy that lines up over you, you got to block him.
Yeah, right.
What Hardings was thinking.
There's Barat. High, incomplete.
Going to get one more shot at it.
Right now, for another update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat John, the gunslinger in Carolina, still working well. Berline throws his 5th touchdown pass of the day. 2nd catch by Jeffers. That touchdown has now enabled him to leapfrog Green Bay in the net points in conference games scenario. Let's take it back to Pat and John.
Boy, who can figure it out?
Fourth down here, and Minnesota wants to figure it out. If they can stop it here, they're going to host the game.
4th and 10. Barat steps up and throws deep. Morton in the end zone. Touchdown. What a strike and what a catch by Johnny Morton. The back of the end zone from Gus Barat.
Gus Barat moved around there, and then he saw Johnny Morton in the back of the end zone. Like you say, here's Johnny Morton right down here. He's just coming up, then he goes deep. He feels a little scramble. He gets by 2 guys, and Gus Barat throws it and hits him just before he hits that back line.
Wow.
Well, now we have a touchdown here, then we're going to have an onside kick, and we got some excitement going.
No. Detroit has 2 timeouts left. Minnesota has all of theirs.
Gus Barat can do those kinds of things.
Extra point by Hanson's good. 24-17.
Johnny Morton's 5th 100-yard receiving game of the year. You know, he's one of those guys, we're talking about guys with a motor. Johnny Morton is one of those guys that has a motor. You know, because that was an adjustment there. It was a little scramble by Gus Barat, and that gave Johnny Morton the time to adjust his pattern and get it up deep.
10 catches, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns for Johnny Morton. 1 bounced off the hands of Herman Moore, and that one, as you pointed out, was an adjustment, and a good adjustment.
Gus Barat has confidence, and he can play this game. You know, it'll be an interesting decision here whether they kick an onside kick or not, because the Lions have 2 timeouts left, but they also have the 2-minute warning. So in essence, they have 3 timeouts. You don't have to kick an onside kick here. You can kick them deep, play good defense, use your timeouts, and get the ball back.
I think they're going to onside kick it.
Well, the problem with the onside kick is that Minnesota's offense is so good that if you don't get the onside kick, you're going to lose the game on this play. I mean, those are the 2 things you have to use in your decision. If you get the onside kick, then you have a chance. You have a chance to take time. If you don't get the onside kick, you're probably going to lose the game. If you kick deep, you'll probably get the ball back again if your defense can stop it.
Onside kick looks like what's going to happen.
See, now the yellow line is in there. The ball has to cross that yellow line. Get it away.
And Robert Tate just took it and strolled 5 yards and knelt down. Tonight, kick back and let Fox entertain you on the first Sunday of the millennium. All starts with King of the Hill, followed by a special hour of the Simpsons and a bizarre alien encounter on the X-Files. Tonight on Fox.
See, now, as I said, the Lions get a timeout at the 2-minute warning, plus they have 2 timeouts.
Now it's up to the defense. The Detroit defense has to rise to the occasion here and stop Minnesota.
Well, the Minnesota offense has to get a first down.
Right. Robert Smith got about 8.
That's a tough situation.
Stoggins made the stop. 2-minute warning coming up. The clock, of course, will stop. 24-17, the Vikings lead. 2nd and 2. 2 minutes left. Smith. First down and more. Stopped by Bryant Westbrook.
Well, Detroit has to use their timeouts now.
Yep.
They have 2 timeouts, and they finally took it. They don't manage the clock well, Detroit. They didn't do it just before the halftime. Remember, they left three timeouts there, and they took about 10 seconds there to get a timeout. They know that they have 2 left. They have to take one now, and then they're going to have to take their last one after that, and just hope that they can get the ball back.
Gus Frerotte and Jim Zorn in conversation on the other side of the field. Denny Green and Jeff York.
And they know that they need one more first down.
Detroit's got 1 timeout left.
Then Detroit will take it after the next play.
Yep. Then they may not need another first down. 17. George hands to Smith. Smith was hit behind the line of scrimmage, lost the yard. Timeout, Detroit. And that's all. They can't stop the clock again. Timeout, Detroit. They trailed by a touchdown. 1:35 left. Bobby Ross has watched his team scrap, but too many guns on the other side. 3 timeouts left for Minnesota, none for Detroit. Tampa Bay has beaten Chicago, so they're the NFC champions. Minnesota is beating Detroit 24-17. Turnovers. Minnesota 3, Detroit 2. Minnesota got 7 points, however, off the turnover. Charlie Batch was hurt earlier, and Gus Frerotte has been the Detroit quarterback. Robert Smith hangs on and fights for extra yardage. Second half scoring here in this contest. Leroy Horde. Gus Frerotte to Johnny Morton to bring it to 24-17. The last touchdown by both teams. 3rd and 7.
Yeah, Detroit's going to get the ball back, but they're not going to have much time because there is one more timeout left here, and that'll be the change of possession. If they can stop him here, then Minnesota's going to have to punt. And when Detroit gets the ball back, that will stop the clock.
3rd and 7. Chris Carter on the move to the left, and the handoff is to Smith. And Smith gets the first down, and it's academic.
All academic now.
Stephen Boyd made the tackle. Tampa Bay wins the NFC Central. The Buccaneers get a first-round bye, and the winner of today's game, which looks like Minnesota, will play next week right here.
And then Detroit is also, even though they've lost, if they lose now, they've lost 4 in a row, they're still in the playoffs,
right,
and they will play a game, a wild card game next week on the road.
24-17. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Sandy Grossman. Associate Director Mike Roig. The broadcast associates Charles McDonald and Mark Mata. Technical producer Bob Mueller. The pregame show is produced by Scott Ackerson and directed by Bob Levy. Senior producers Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And all they can do is watch.
You know, it'll be interesting next week if Charlie Batch will be able to play. He has a broken thumb. He re-injured it in this game. Dennis Green has to feel good about his team because I've always felt that you want to be peaking going into the playoffs, and I think that the Vikings are as close a team to peaking at the end of the season that maybe there is in the NFC.
I think you're right.
I don't think they're as good as the Rams, but I think they can cause some problems in these playoffs that are coming up.
And Denny Green, I think to a large degree, his coaching prowess is gone unrecognized. He's a heck of a good coach.
Well, not only that, but in getting players. He needed a backup quarterback. He gets Jeff George. He needs an outside pass rusher. He brings in Chris Dolman. He gets Jerry Ball back. It's not only a year ago he got Randall Cunningham. It's not only the way he coaches them, but the way he pieces everything together.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, however, what decision he makes about who's going to be his quarterback. Minnesota 24-17 the victor. And it's going to be interesting to see what Denny does about the quarterback situation with Cunningham and George. Let's go to Sam Rosen in Green Bay.